I find myself living within an age group where all they want to do is grow up. To drink, to drive, and to do all the adult stuff we idolize over in our adolescence. The way I see things, we'll have all our lives to do all that stuff, and we're not getting any younger. So I feel that it's necessary to tap into something childish and more directed towards our youth, so we can appreciate what being young has to offer as opposed to being old. And so, we have Kirby's Epic Yarn. When I brought this game up to the counter at my local EB Games a few years ago, I was given quite a few weird looks. I mean, considering most people my age were playing stuff like this and this, it's a little out of the norm to see a 15-year-old buying a game designed for 5-year-olds. But at the end of the day, I was the one going home to play a fantastic game. The one thing here that is clearly my favorite aspect of Epic Yarn is the art style. This game looks absolutely gorgeous. Every single thing in Epic Yarn, the character models, the scenery, the backgrounds, and the foregrounds are made entirely out of materials you would find in a craft shop. It makes every location and level look and feel like something that was skillfully woven together and assembled to make every piece of fabric a part of a beautiful work. The textures, the colors, and styles of all the pieces of material make every level a joy to just sit back and watch rather than play. But of course, I didn't spend 90 Aussie bucks just to look at the game rather than play it, cause that'd be fucking stupid! The main thing that changes the gameplay from the norm of the Kirby series is the exclusion of copy abilities. Yep, there are no copy abilities, mainly due to the fact that Kirby is a piece of yarn that quite literally can't inhale anything. Instead, he can morph his yarn body into various shapes to give certain advantages, such as turning into a car to run faster, a parachute to glide through the air, and a weight to crush objects below him. In fact, Kirby's main attack is to unravel his body and stretch it out like a whip, to unravel enemies and interact with objects in Patchland. I think one thing that can be a little bit of a downside in this game is you can't lose. Ever. You have no health bar and no lives because taking damage does nothing except making you drop some beads and you can't die. I know this is a game designed for 5-year-olds, but come on. Messing up really has little to no consequence other than lowering your score, which honestly isn't terribly difficult to regain if you react fast enough. But honestly, it never bugged me too much. I was too busy having such a great time playing this game. All the little things, like the narrator and the cutscenes, those super transformations, the traveling across music staves in Melody Town, swinging from trees, and above all else, Snowland. That area was so enjoyable, and I actually have most of the music of this area on my iPod. So, Kirby's Epic Yarn. It may be a game designed for kids more than a decade younger than me, but to me, that doesn't matter. A fantastic game knows no age limits. Let's face it, most of you thousands who watch my dumb videos who I adore so much know me for talking about a certain few games. The games I've talked about due to my love of them, which somehow you guys found good enough to entitle a sub. We finally reached the first of these games, a game from the amazing Metroid Prime trilogy. You guys know how much I love this fantastic trilogy of gaming prominence, and I'll be getting into the reasons for this soon enough. Unfortunately, as this is a ranking list, I need to circle out which of these three I feel is the weakest, and in my opinion, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is the weakest. Now, before I delve into the weaker elements of Echoes, let's talk about the Primes as a whole. Despite some of my comments against it, I feel that Metroid is the greatest sci-fi series in all gaming, with the finest examples being in the Metroid Prime trilogy. These games just have so much finesse to them. The gameplay is fantastic and seamless, the environments are interesting in terms of both visuals and exploration, the music is great, combining proper instrumentation with synthesized sounds and tracks to provide some incredibly memorable tracks, and the deep and engaging atmosphere is something worthy of high honors. All three games in the trilogy have these elements, but all have individual traits that make each one stand as individuals in the series. And this is where I feel Echo's weak points begin to come through. While it has the great elements all three games share, It's the new inclusions that I feel tamper with the experience. For one, excluding your standard power beam, your beams require ammunition. I understand this is an FPS game and that logically your weapons require ammunition, but the Prime Trilogy doesn't strictly follow the conventions of an FPS, and Echoes is the only game in the trilogy to require ammunition for your beams, and it feels weird! I know it's a really minor complaint, but it's enough to make me have my pea shooter of a power beam in use 90% of the time. My main fault, however, is in Echo's main unique addition, the Light World Dark World mechanic. The antagonistic forces of the Ing linger in the world of Dark Aether, and Samus must travel between the two Aethers in order to defeat them. My problem with this whole scenario is that the atmosphere of Dark Aether drains your fucking health! It really does break down your progression in Dark Aether to running from save point to save point and regenerating your HP. Rinse and repeat with enemies and puzzles thrown into the mix as you progress. After the first area of Dark Aether, you do receive the Dark Suit that lowers the speed at which the atmosphere drains your HP, and prior to heading to the final area of the game, you receive the Light Suit that makes you immune to the atmosphere, but until you receive the Light Suit, the progression stays the same, although the Dark Suit takes a bit of the tedium out of it. Other than those personal annoyances I have with Echoes, I can't find much else wrong with it. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is one of the finest games released on the GameCube, and is one that I enjoyed immensely. There are just a few little issues I have that sully the great experience. Don't worry, my approach to the other Prime games will not be as negative as this one, but let's leave those for later on. Next up, we have one of the finest games in the Sonic series,
Sonic Adventure 2!
Ben, what the hell are you doing here? And... is that my couch? Oh crap, not again!
Well, he'll be gone for a few minutes, so, let's get this going. Sonic Adventure 2 is without a doubt my favorite Sonic game, and it's obviously that way to a lot of other people too. I mean, other than Sonic 2, what other game in the series do people praise as much as this king of 3D Sonic? Maybe Sonic the Hedgehog 2006? The one that everyone loves? No, everyone loves Sonic Adventure 2. I know this because I did math to prove it. Look at that. That's math on the screen. I even made a chart. Your argument is invalid. What makes Sonic Adventure 2 so great, for me at least, is that it plays the best out of all the 3D Sonic games. Unlike Sonic Colors and Sonic Unleashed, it's entirely 3D platforming, no choppy 2D sections to pander to classic Sonic fans and bog down the gameplay. And also unlike those two, when it is in 3D, you aren't just running in a straight line blasting through like, who cares? It's actually platforming. Isn't that something? A platforming game with actual platforming.
Now, what would a platform game be without...
Bubsy, I'd like you to stop breathing. Sonic Adventure 2 also features a great cast of characters. There's Dr. Eggman at his highest point of villainy, and my personal favorite character, Shadow the Hedgehog. Frankly, I've never minded Shadow's descent from this high point of character. I've always liked him in every game he's been in. All that said, this game is not without its problems. The tail stages are usually pretty boring, not the gameplay style, it's just the levels themselves. Eggman stages are actually great, and the sound editing and voice acting suck the piece out of even Nirvana. Despite its handful of faults, I still love this game, and it's part of my personal top 10 favorite games and my personal favorite Sonic game. Speed, on the other hand, does not have quite the same opinion. But Speed and his opinions are wrong. I kinda blame the fact that he's Australian.
What was that about Australians?
I smacked you so hard you flew into the ocean. How'd you get back so fast?
Swift sail, bitch.
Ah, crap, I gotta go, guys. Remember, Sonic Adventure 2 for life!
Yeah, you get the hell out of here before I fling you into the ocean. You know, I am a practicing Catholic. I go to church on Sundays, I go to a private Catholic school, and I have read a good deal of the Bible. But sometimes, you have to do something that's a little bit... blasphemous. Okay, I can have as much innocent and unoffensive gaming as I want, but in situations like this, You cannot go wrong with a curvaceous dark witch wearing skin-tight clothing made from her own hair, which you can strip off to summon humongous demonic monsters to brutally slaughter angels and heavenly beings. Playing this game, which involves acts of murder against angelic beings and involves instances of deicide, could classify me as a blasphemer of my own faith. If that's the case, then this is some sweet, sweet blasphemy. To understand why anyone would like this game, just look at Bayonetta. Not like that! Perhaps I should specify. Playing as this curvaceous witch is candy for the eyes. I cannot talk about Bayonetta without sounding sexual. Yes, Bayonetta is a heavily sexualized character, but that's not the only reason an adolescent male like myself bought this game. The gameplay is a beat 'em up like Devil May Cry, and it's honestly one of the most flowing beat 'em ups I've ever played. Right from the start, you have so many combos to execute involving various punches and kicks, all augmented by demonic hair creations. But what makes the combat so flowing is the dodge mechanic. If you perform a dodge just as an enemy is about to make contact with you, you can enter Witch Time, where all other enemies move in slow motion, so you can unleash a flurry of attacks which your opponents will be unable to avoid. Attacks also come with more variety, as Bayonetta has 2 pistols on hand and 2 pistols as heels on her shoes, which you can use to take out ranged targets or use as part of a combo. Frankly, this game is absolutely fucking ridiculous. In pretty much any level, by walking for a little bit, all hell breaks loose, and you'll have to get quickly accustomed to that, because there will be things flying at you from left, right, and center. On top of the chaos each level presents you with, you're also presented with some very nice scenery and environments to make your way through. Nearly every single level in the game has something to marvel at visually. Something I really marvel at, however, are the boss battles. The gist of nearly every boss battle, and the majority of enemies for that matter, is taking heavenly and religious symbols and characters and intentionally turning them into horrific and unnatural creatures. I think this is really cool and does throw a nice spin on the whole idea of angels and heavenly beings being elegant and beautiful. But now I'm off topic, on to the boss battles. If the normal gameplay was insane, I don't even know the term that would describe the boss battles. All battles are of tremendous skill and are absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing. Bayonetta has a lot of replayability, whether you want to amp up the difficulty or to simply understand the story. Yeah, the story truly is scattered all over the place, so it will take more than one playthrough to comprehend. But who cares? It's fun to play through even a second or third time. For more reasons than one. God damn it, Speed. You know, the Nintendo Wii is constantly referred to as a console for babies. So many people say that all games are made for little kids and there are no games for anyone else. Well, clearly they didn't do their research, because the Wii is home to one of the most violent and graphic games I've ever played. Here we have the extraordinarily violent and oh so magnificent Manworld. This game alone is the ultimate rebuttal to the Wii is for babies argument. People say games like Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty are making kids violent. In that case, after playing Manworld, I should be a masochistic homicidal maniac. Manworld's gameplay stylings function similar to a more retro sort of game, with a point system being the main focus of the game. In each level you need to get a certain number of points in order to unlock the way to the stage's boss. You get points depending on how violently, gruesomely, and creatively you massacre your enemies. And it is... Sure, a simple decapitation with your arm-mounted chainsaw will net you some points, but shoving a road spike through their skull, trapping them inside a tire, and then whacking them into a wall of spikes with a spiked baseball bat will do so much more for your score. You would not believe how many different manners you can kill enemies in Manworld. Off the top of my head, there's ripping out their hearts, impaling them, throwing them into spike pits, launching them through a cannon, guillotining them, and even tossing them into space. As I mentioned, the whole point of Manworld is to fight bosses, and they sure make a bloody occasion out of these battles. Your first battle was the freaking deformed giant with a ball and chain. The fights in this game include such feats as battling a mad German Darth Vader with wind turbines welded to his arms, a clone of Jack who you fight on a motorcycle, and even a particularly curvaceous vampire.
Awesome rock on her though. Oh, true that.
One of the most striking features of Mad World right from the start is its art style. The only colors used in the entire scheme of the game are black and white, with the clear exception of red being used to highlight the bloodshed of your enemies. Despite the lack of various colors, the visual style is actually very well fleshed out, emulating an art style used in a lot of graphic novels, specifically Sin City. Every scene, every character, every move, just pretty much everything looks totally stylish and oh so great to look at. But it's not just your eyes that are getting a show, your ears will also be blessed by the two commentators of the Deathwatch tournament, Howard Buckshot Holmes, voiced by Greg Proops, and Chris Creeley, voiced by John DiMaggio. While I love these two, I'm sorry. They simply cannot top the magnificence, the style, or the badassery only capable by the Black Baron. Holy crap, this guy is just so damn awesome. He's a pimp, all wrapped up in his best fur coat and twirling around his trusty cane, who tragically gets smacked around more than his hoe, Matilda. But luckily for us, he's immortal and runs all the bloodbath minigames throughout the levels. I love this guy for his speeches because, my god, he is both hilarious and a total badass. To add another layer onto his awesomeness, he is also the final boss and rank 1 killer in the Deathwatch competition. Not only is his fight the best in the game, his boss theme, Luke Pimpin', is my favourite song from Mad World and my favourite rap song in general. You've been hearing it this whole intro, you don't need a sample. So in short, this game is gory, horrendously violent, inappropriate in so many ways, and intoxicatingly enjoyable. Take it away, Baron.
Oh, hell no!
If you have been involved with this collection of countdown makers in this isolated corner of YouTube, you would know about our pretty much self-declared cult classic series, No More Heroes. I mean, if it weren't for people like the Autarch and the Fiery Joker, I would never have gone into this series. Nearly every semi-popular countdown maker has some knowledge of this series. It's almost a staple. But when I bring up a series like this in my list of favorite games, I have to single out which of the two games I feel is the weaker one. And unfortunately, my vote goes to No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Now, I'll make myself clear. I still think this is a fantastic game. I just feel it's a bit of a step down from the first No More Heroes. Granted, I feel there is more emphasis placed on the actual story of No More Heroes 2, and it has a lot more emphasis on the characters of the series and the development they undergo as the story progresses, culminating in Travis's complete transformation from a sex and money-driven killer into a man who regrets his actions and understands the value of life. I really enjoy this more focused and thought-out plot. My main qualms come in the fact that the gameplay suffers as a result of it. While No More Heroes 2 did add quite a few things to the gameplay, such as having multiple styles of beam katanas with different traits and can be switched between at any time, as well as alternate characters to play as, many of the layers that made up the gameplay of the original have either been thinned out or completely removed. For example, you no longer have to pay to enter ranked matches. The entire first game was built around the entry fees to ranked matches. It meant you had to go out and earn money, take part-time jobs, do well in levels, and explore the town of Santa Destroy. Oh yeah, that's another thing. You can no longer explore Santa Destroy. There's no open exploration anymore in the overworld, all travel being condensed into a selection screen. What I personally believe is No More Heroes 2's greatest sin is the removal of the assassination missions. Those were some of the most fun ways to earn money in the original, and now they're just gone. Already had a rage about that in a previous video, let's move on. While you do have other characters to play as, I have issues with both of them. Shinobu has the ability to jump over obstacles, but it's really finicky to get right, which is not helped by the introduction of platforming elements in her levels. No More Heroes is just a game where platforming doesn't work. Also, after finishing a combo, she'll taunt, leaving her open to a counterattack from enemies. The other playable character, the epic Sir Henry Motherfucker, is actually fun to play as. He's able to dash around very fast and can shoot very effective projectiles. My problem with him? You get to use him for 5 minutes. Seriously? We're stuck with Jumpy gets hit a bunch for 2 levels and 2 of the most annoying fights in the game, where you only get the glorious Sir Henry for 1 short battle? Why? Man, this really turned out way more negative than I hoped it would. Look, I said before, I really do like this game. The more present storyline, coupled with the great character developments and some great levels and music tracks, on top of some of my favourite boss battles of all time, like Ryuji, Margaret, Vladimir, and Alice, with their amazing battles and story relevance, makes No More Heroes 2 a truly fantastic game. It just makes me feel a little disappointed in some areas. Let's just leave it at that. The crater left by the first Portal game was a sight to behold. It left various parts of the internet foaming at the mouth and desperately begging for more. So if there was ever going to be a nailed-on sequel, you can bet your ass that Valve were going to cash in on its success.
Most YouTubers do experience some cognitive deterioration after a few months making videos. Now, you've been doing this for quite a lot longer, and it's not out of the question that you may have a very minor case of serious mental instability. But don't be alarmed, alright? I've got my friend Rabbit Luigi to take over this one for you.
Wait, what?
So like Speed said, Portal 2 made so much sense that it was a borderline certainty to be made. Even the credits at the end were singing that a sequel was just around the corner, and with the huge unrivaled success of the first game, Valve would have been a bit dumb not to take this opportunity. Now when I first started playing the game, my biggest fear would be that Portal 2 would be more of what made the first game so good, but with no real innovation or added bonuses. But not only was this not a worry, but Valve knew exactly how to make Portal 2 a shining success. The setting is a good start, set many years after the events in the first game, with Aperture Science now a crumbling mess with even less life hanging around than before. Coupled with the bumbling Wheatley, and you've got an eerie adventure laced with humour and outbursts of severe Britishness.
Go on 1 this time. Okay, ready? 1.
Catch me, catch! Ow!
Ow. Yeah, I can't do it if you're watching. Seriously, I'm not joking. Can you just turn around for a second? Really? Oh. I know, Jerry! No, I'm on a break, mate. On a break. Ah! Just hang in there for 5 more... What? Jerry, you can't fire me for that! Yes, Jerry!
More games should have that. As for improving on Portal 1's puzzles, Portal 2 goes absolutely crazy. From the laser bending blocks to the crazy mini trampolines, and don't even get me started on the gels, we'd be here all day if that was the case. It's the best thing, having this platform where you can be indescribably creative and then layer on even more clever stuff to further refine it. The same goes with the humour. Why just stop at GLaDOS' cynicism from Portal 1? Why not add Wheatley's incompetence as well? That is a sign of a damn good sequel.
The hell do you mean by mental instability? Sure, this project has been trudging on for about a year now, with still a while to go, but that doesn't mean I'm mentally unstable, or, at the very least, I'm nowhere near as unstable as that other guy. Oh. Let's just hope he didn't hear me. I'm aware that this series has been touched upon previously in this list, but why not supply just a bit more coverage? We're talking Poke...
Hi there, Speed, buddy. What do you think you're doing?
I'm trying to start number 33.
You invite Marty McBoxia and not me? And it's Pokemon? Or is my dialect not foreign enough for you, Chief?
Actually, he wasn't invited per se, but
Give me the script.
What?
Give me the script!
Okay, here!
This damn well better be a game I like. Oh, you filthy little...
Alright, if we're gonna do this, at least let me lead it off.
You have 20 seconds.
The sister games of the Pokemon series have a certain truth behind their titles. Just semi-useful words to tell you what the hell you're playing, right? Wrong! They devilishly conceal their own true value path the 4 of them share. Yellow.
Half a carrot, darling.
Crystal.
Oh my.
Emerald.
Oh, This is beautiful.
This game?
Bitch, you can't afford that.
Does that make it good?
It's been 20 seconds. Platinum really does deserve more kudos. When you talk of kick-ass Pokemon games you love, possibly even a spot for your all-time favorite, very rarely do I personally hear this fourth and grandest sister installment ever get a mention. It may stem from the fact that Gen 4 in general is the most neglected of all the Pokemon generations, but it still doesn't make sense to me. How can a remastering of this scale not reap the benefits it actually deserves?
Perhaps people just have opinions.
Okay, now you're just making shit up.
While I share not the same tangled passion for this game as much as my cuckoo associate here, it bearing position number 33 should tell you it's no slouch in the quality department. Now, I'll say this much. The Sinnoh games were not complete godsends in my books. But this is still a kick-ass addition to the series. Much like you, Logan, I think Sinnoh and the games that represent it don't get enough praise as they should. Diamond and Pearl didn't make me think too highly of the new generation from the get-go, but this did. Game Freak was all ears for the initial response of their starting racers. Diamond and Pearl were very well received commercially, but it did get some petty complaints. Don't all games? Every criticism fed back, except the slow feel to it, were destroyed with Platinum's release. Limited options for fire types? Crushed! Per post-game? Map! New evolutions banned from the main adventure? Mute! With the microwave!
Something I hardly touched upon before is how good Platinum does its job. Obviously, a game of any sort should entertain you, and it does, but that's not what I mean. A product of this type, dubbed sister game by the fanbase, should, by hypothetical definition, make her two brothers look like Tucker and Dale as opposed to her oh my godness. The common phrase being one-up the predecessors. It's a job that, might I say, usually goes unfilled. Change of pants there, recruiter. We found the successor we've been looking for. This third joyride through the Sinnoh region hits and conquers all stops. Not only does Pokemon Platinum reimburse all that cash some may have regret tossing at Diamond and Pearl's screen, it takes the teachings handed down from Emerald's side and turn it into something along the lines of unusual team captain quality. Not only does it make full use of these customs, but it made the two that preceded it something much better than Mr. Greenie here ever could.
On the surface, far beyond what any reviewer could tell you, it looks like your bog standard Pokemon game, and yeah, it is for the most part. It's essentially Diamond and Pearl remastered, so there's not much to be said from the eyes of only a modest fan. But it would do good to bring up the most important mechanic. The game-changing additions Diamond and Pearl brought forth are still there, which marked a milestone for all Pokemon battlers. Now that all types of attacks can sport physical and special attributes, the choices you could effectively use on your team has been limitlessly expanded. It was the first time ever where the complex intricacies of the franchise's battling simulations came to everyone's attention. Not just those who take hours, even days, trying to learn with the older format. I bring this up because it's something that perfectly complements the new stuff those magnificent bastards pulled from their deep pockets. It's more noticeable this time around, and your appreciation starts to show its face more because of that. Like, good god, it actually doesn't feel that slow anymore.
It never felt that slow to me. Don't know what the big problem with that is, but whatever. The changes made to the story add more than one would expect. Team Galactic as a whole are much more fleshed out in Platinum. I won't provide spoilers, but it's customary to say, both Cyrus and the team will give you more to shit your pants over. Platinum's not a game in the series that represents any specific nostalgia sensation, but I do feel that, for all that it's done and improved on, it's the best Pokemon game I've ever played. It felt like a brand new step in the direction I really wanted, and not by making the game all 3D and junk. God, I miss the sprites.
Need a tissue?
Nah man, I'm fine. I'll get over it eventually.
I mean, for what I'm gonna say next.
Oh?
Platinum's only my 5th favorite of the series.
Oh. Oh, I see.
Something wrong with that?
No, not at all. Say, you got a neck I could snap?
Yeah, I've got a neck if that's what you're asking. Despite being a Nintendo fan for the past few years, one particular Nintendo franchise whose popularity I didn't understand was Donkey Kong. All I saw in him was a big, dumb ape who achieved fame along with Mario and somehow was popular enough to receive his own series of games. I had never played any of his games, and the only experience I had of DK was in Super Smash Bros., and I really didn't like playing as him. But after I played just one of his games, it was clear to me why everyone loved the Big Ape. one of the finest platformers on the Wii, we have Donkey Kong Country Returns. Having never played a Donkey Kong Country game, I honestly didn't know what to expect. And I'm actually thankful for that, because this game blew my fucking socks off. Typically, most platformers I've played usually feature characters that are nimble and have tremendous jumping ability, as well as feeling fairly light on their own. Donkey Kong is nearly the complete opposite, being pretty slow and lacking incredible jumping abilities. However, every single level is designed to work with this, as well as DK's other talents like rope swinging, wall climbing, and rolling with waggle motions. Whee! Donkey Kong Country Returns has some of the most memorable levels I've ever seen in a platformer. Nearly every level has something to make it stick out from the others, and my god, I enjoy playing through them so damn much. Whether it involves riding around in a minecart, firing yourself from barrel to barrel, riding Rambi and crushing all in your path, getting chased through a level by an octopus, and so much more, you will have a hard time forgetting this insane bunch of levels DKC Returns provides. Now, I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. This game is really hard. I wouldn't say it's Demon Souls level of hard, but some levels can be utterly and mercilessly demanding. I mean, some levels you can enter into with more than 50 balloons and reach the end with like 2. Jeez, game, settle down! I'm only human, don't do this to me! Why must you do this to me? Fuck you. But honestly, while I did have a few rage quits here and there, it never halted my progress too much. The levels were still a great ton of fun, and reaching the end was so satisfying. The biggest examples of these levels are the ones with the rocket barrel. Holy sweet mother of crap, these levels are just downright ridiculous. But these are the levels I replay the most for one small reason. The fucking music! Another aspect that makes this game so good is that presentation. I mean, wow. While not super HD like a lot of games nowadays, you really can't knock these graphics. They are fantastically detailed and colorful, and there's always something going on so there's no dead space on the screen. There's always activity going on all over the screen, and it's just a fun time being an observer rather than a player. While a lot of the music in this game doesn't stick firmly in my head, the ones that do are absolute gems of gaming music. I mean, just hear Rocket Barrel and that's all you need. You saw me count a jam before, I don't need no words for it. Aight! Remind me to never say aight again. I've never played the original Donkey Kong Country games, and at the moment, I have no real intention of doing so. After getting to go through this magnificent platformer, I think my opinion of them would be a little unfair. As far as I'm concerned, this is all the DK I need. Back a long time ago, I talked about Pokemon Gold, my first Pokemon game. To me, it's still hella nostalgic. All the memories of the journeys I went on in this game are kind of hard to erase, and just the amount that it improved from the original Red and Blue makes it such a fan favorite. Hell, a lot of people I know and a ton of people watching this entry hold Gold and Silver as their favorite Pokemon game. But honestly, Pokemon Gold can go to hell for all I care. Why? One simple reason. Hell yes! When the Gen 2 remakes were released, I was in a nostalgic Pokemon phase, where I thought the oldies were the goldies of the Pokemon series. I didn't get Soul Silver until a few years later, and after playing through it, my thoughts were, screw the nostalgia, embrace the remake! When I talked about Gold, my main criticisms were the battling feeling primitive and Pokemon selection feeling too limited. With the introduction of nature's abilities and the entire physical special split, there was so much more to comprehend. Pokemon that I felt were garbage due to their limiting movesets and illogical stat arrangements in relation to type, now have more utility and use, making nearly every Pokemon have some use or utility. With several Pokemon that were lacking in Gold and Silver receiving new evolutions, I actually have some incentive to catch Pokemon like Yanma, Swinub, Apom, and Magmar, if for nothing more than to take advantage of their evolutions. As I played through this game, I continually had flashback after flashback to my younger self playing through Gold. The experience I had with Gold is perfectly transferred and in fact built upon in Soul Silver. I actually found points in the story much more memorable this time around due to how much larger the game is. A key example being when you're confronted by Ariana in the Rocket Hideout. I remember this scene from Gold back in the day, but Soul Silver puts a very nice twist on things by making this confrontation a tag battle with Lance by your side. I think the greatest feature they added in this remake was your lead Pokemon following you around in the overworld. This makes raising your team of Pokemon so much more immersive because you can directly interact with your Pokemon, watching them slowly get used to traveling with you, taking in their emotions on your journey, and just going yaw in moments like this. The graphics and sound quality is on par with Platinum, and for a game on a handheld that already has so much data packed into it, this really is something to be pleased with. All the locations I explored when I was just a wee lad of 6, remade in such high quality and detail, with all the nostalgic tunes updated to sound crisper and more musical, is just something I love that this game did. Even more so than Gold could to my childish, immature mind, Soul Silver made me feel like I was on a journey. Just me and my team. Feraligatr, Pidgeot, Ampharos, Steelix, Heracross, and Magmortar. These 6 Pokemon were what got me through this adventure, and I managed to receive all 16 gym badges, a feat I never accomplished as a child. And to conclude this journey, I confronted the opponent I never defeated when I was young, even with my brother's Pokemon, Red. I trained up and managed to defeat my childhood foe, which I managed to record and upload to YouTube to immortalize my victory. The satisfaction of finally defeating the one trainer who I could never beat in my life was by far the most memorable moment of this entire game. Other than taking out Lance's strongest Dragonite with my Heracross. These experiences and more are why Gold can go to hell now. Gen 4 forever, man.